Hello, Idealistas. This is your bedtime story. I'm a sheep now, so oh well. Today we are going to read the tale of Jemina Puddle Duck. Okay, let's see. What can we say about it? Let's see. What a funny sight. Okay, let's see. What a funny sight it is to see a brood of ducklings with a hen. That's true. Ducklings with a hen? Listen to the story of Jemina Puddle Duck, who was annoyed because the farmer's wife would not let her hatch her own eggs. Okay, I wonder why the farmer is not letting her to hatch her own eggs. That's interesting, isn't it? Her sister-in-law, Mrs. Rebecca Puddle Duck, was perfectly willing to leave the hatching to someone else. I have not the patience to sit on a nest for 28 days. And no more have you, Jemina. You would let them go cold. You know you would. I wish to have my own eggs. I will hatch them all by myself, quacked Jemina Puddle Duck. So Jemina was very determined. So let's go ahead and let's talk about this character, Jemina. Even though they told her not to hatch the eggs, she's very determined, and that's pretty cool. She tried to hide her eggs, but they were always found carried off. Jemina Puddle Duck became quite desperate. She determined to make a nest right away from the farm. She set off on a fine spring afternoon along the cart road that leads over the hill. She was wearing a shawl and a poke bonnet. See that? There she is. Okay. When she reached the top of the hill, she saw a wood in the distance. She thought that it would look a safe, quiet spot. Now, let's go ahead and let's apply some reading comprehension while we do this, okay? Let's go ahead and let's think about Jemina's character, okay? She's very determined. She's not going to give up. She left the farm so that she can actually try to do this. And so far, I'm liking Jemina, and we'll see. I hope that I'm pronouncing it well. Jemina Puddle Duck was not much in the habit of flying. She ran down a few yards, flapping her shawl, and then she jumped off the air. She flew beautifully when she had a good start. She skimmed along over the treetops until she saw an open place in the middle of the wood, where the trees and brushwood had been cleared. So Jemina is looking for a place, a very safe place for her to start her nest, right? Jemina alighted rather heavily and began to waddle about in search of a convenient dry nesting place. She rather fenced a tree stump amongst from all tall foxgloves. He had black brick ears and sandy colored whiskers. So she found a fox. Quack, said Jemina Puddle Duck, with her head on her bonnet on one side. Quack! The gentleman raised his eyes above his newspaper and looked curiously at Jemina's. Madame, have you lost your way? Said he. He had a long bushy tail which he was sitting upon, as the stump was somewhat damp. Jemina thought him mighty civil and handsome. She explained that she had not lost her way, but that she was trying to find a convenient dry nesting place. Okay, Jemina is telling a fox that she's trying to find a nest to put her eggs. Look at that. I feel like she's too naive right now. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think that the fox is going to take advantage of that or not? Ah, is that so? Indeed, said the gentleman with sandy whiskers, looking curiously at Jemina. He folded up the newspaper and put it on his coat tail pocket. Jemina complained for the superfluous hen. Indeed, how interesting. I wish I could meet with that foal. I would teach it to mind its own business. But as to a nest, there is no difficulty. I have a sack full of feathers in my wood shed. No, my dear madame, you will be in nobody's way. You may sit there as long as you like. He led the way to a very retired, dismal-looking house amongst the foxgloves. It was built of faggots and turf, and there were two broken pails, one on top of another, by way of a chimney. He seems like the fox is helping her out. Do you think he's actually helping her out? I wonder. This is my summer residency. You would not find my winter house so convenient, said the hospital gentleman. Look at that. Okay. There was a tumble-down shed at the back of the house, made of old soap boxes. The gentleman opened the door and showed Jemina in. The shed was almost quite full of feathers. It was almost suffocating, but it was comfortable and very soft. Jemina Puddle Duck was rather surprised to find such a vast quantity of feathers. It was very comfortable, and she made a nest without any trouble at all. When she came out, the sandy-whiskered gentleman was sitting on a lawn reading the newspaper. At least he had it spread out, but he was looking over the top of it. He was so polite that he seemed almost sorry to let Jemina go home for the night. He promised to take great care of her nest until she came back again next day. He said he loved eggs and ducklings. He should be proud to see a fine nestful in his woodshed. Jemina Puddle Duck came every afternoon. She laid 9 eggs in the nest. They were greeny, white, and very large. The foxy gentleman admired them immensely. He used to turn over and count them when Jemina was not there. At last Jemina told him that she intended to begin to sit next day, and I will bring a bag of corn with me so that I need never leave my nest until the eggs are hatched. They might catch a cold, said the conscious Jemina. Madame, I beg you not to trouble yourself with a pack. I will provide oats. But before you commence your tedious sitting, I intend to give you a treat. Let us have a dinner party all to ourselves. May I ask you to bring up some herbs from the farm garden to make a savory omelette? He wants to do an omelette. May I ask you to bring up some herbs? Oh, sage and thyme and mint and 2 onions and some parsley. I will provide lard for the stuff, lard for the omelette, said the hospital gentleman with sandy whiskers. Why does he want to do an omelette? I don't even want to think about it. Oh my gosh. I imagine it right now the worst. Jemina Puddle Duck was a simpleton. Not even to mention of sage and onions made her suspicious. She went round the farm garden, nibbling off snippers and all the different sorts of herbs. And she waddled into the kitchen and got 2 onions out of a basket. The collie dog met her coming out. What are you doing with those onions? Where do you go every afternoon by yourself? Jemina was ratted and away of the collie. She told him the whole story. The collie listened with his wide head on the side. He asked several questions about the wood and about the exact position of the house and shed. Then he went out and trotted down the village. He went to look for 2 foxhound puppies who were out at walk with the butcher. See that? Jemina Puddle Duck went up the cart road for the last time on a sunny afternoon. She flew over the wood and alighted opposite the house of the bushy, long-tailed gentleman. He was sitting on a log. He sniffed the air and kept glancing uneasily round the wood. When Jemina alighted, he quite jumped. Come into the house as soon as you have looked at your eggs. Give me the herbs for the omelette. Be sharp. He was rather abrupt. Jemina Puddle Duck had never heard him speak like that. She felt surprised and uncomfortable. While she was inside, she heard pattering feet round the back of the shed. Someone with a black nose sniffed at the bottom of the door and then locked it. Jemina became much alarmed. A moment afterwards, there were most awful noises, barking, baying, growls, and howls, squealing, and groans, and nothing more was ever seen of that foxy whiskered gentleman. Presently, Keb opened the door of the shed and let off Jemina Puddle Duck. Unfortunately, the puppies rushed in and gobbled up all the eggs before he could stop them. He had a bite on his ear, and both the puppies were limping. Jemina Puddle Duck was escorted home in tears on account of those eggs. She laid some more in June, and she was permitted to keep them herself, but only 4 of them hatched. Jemina Puddle Duck said that it was because of her nerves, but she had always been a bad sitter. Okay, a lot of things to think about it, okay? Let's go ahead and let's think about the theme of this story, okay? So, if we think about the theme and what is the lesson, first off, Jemina, it says that she was not a good sitter, right? Maybe she wasn't, but at the same time, I don't blame Jemina because, first off, she but she trusted the fox, okay? And sometimes there are people that they say to us that they're our friends, and they're actually not. They're not our friends. They tend to be people that we think that they're our friends, but they just want to hurt us, and they just want to take advantage of what we're doing and what we do. So that's why we have to be very wise when we pick our friends, okay? I usually tend to think when I pick my friends that if I choose the right, I want them to choose the right as well. So that's important to me. Another lesson that I learned in here is that, but on the way in your life, you're going to find good friends. Like those puppies, they were good friends because they helped Jemina. Even though they look pretty big and scary, they were good too. Sometimes, appearances can kind of throw us off. Just because I see someone that it looks scary doesn't mean that they're not bad people. They're really good people. So I really hope that you like this one. I feel bad for Jemina. That was a bad fox, huh? Don't be like the fox, okay? Be probably like the puppies, really good ones, okay? I really hope that you like this one, Idealistas, and that you can read it. Remember to always visualize, to predict. It's very important, and to think what is the main idea. I feel like the main idea of this story would be that, Jemina, I know that she's not a good babysitter because she was trusting everyone. When you're a parent, you cannot trust all the people to your kids, right? You have to be very picky. So she needed to learn how to be wise. And also, don't be like that fox. That's really mean. Have a good day, Idealistas.